Hey, what's up, Crank Cycles crew? And today I'm going to be going over the brand new 2023 Yeti SB160. So as many of you may know, Yeti released 3 new bikes this year for 2023. We have the SB160, their super enduro bike. You have the 29er SB140 and the new SB120. The bikes that are being replaced are the SB130, the SB115, and the SB150. So those are the 3 bikes that are getting replaced with those 3 new models, the SB120, the 140 29er, and the SB160. So there's a lot of things new with the new Yeti lineup. For one thing, for better serviceability, the bearings aren't pressed into the frame, they're pressed into the linkage, which is really great. You also have a threaded bottom bracket. It's not press fit, so hopefully no more of those squeaking or a lot of noise. That's better for serviceability. You have these new internal cable routing system, so it doesn't actually damage the frame. It has these little inserts here, which is very nice. And going from 150 millimeters of travel, you have 160 millimeters of travel now, which is really great, at a 64 head angle, which is really nice and slack for those super enduro days you want to be smashing the downhills. This is my personal build, so it's not stock. I have the limited edition Pistachio Fox 38 fork, Chris King headset, Hope Tech 4 E4 enduro brakes. I have a 1-up cockpit, SRAM axis. I have XX1. I have an XO1 cassette. I actually left the DT Swiss EX 1700s. I upgraded to the 54 tooth ratchet. I did that because I have a lot of wheel sets. I have carbon wheel sets, aluminum wheel sets, but I feel like since I'm going to be doing a bit of racing this year, the aluminum wheel sets are just as good. They're actually better for racing than carbon. If carbon breaks, you can't really fix it. If aluminum dents, you can kind of bend it back into place. I do run Cushcore XC just in the rear. I don't really find a need for it in the front, so the rear kind of helps for me a lot. I'm also running an oval chainring, 32 teeth. I'm doing that because I feel like the ovals really help out on a little heavier of an enduro bike. It's not that heavy, it's only like 34, 35 pounds, but it does help on those climbs. I do notice it a lot. I am picky about my brakes also. I've been running Hopes for a while, so it's very hard for me to venture off with Hope. I've tried Shimano and I've tried SRAM, just can't get that same feel. I am also running a 220 rotor in the front and 203 in the rear. I usually run 203 on an enduro bike like this, but Yeti's specking it with a 220 in the front, so I kind of want to check that out. I am probably going to switch it back to a 203. A little bit too much braking power, but I think the 203 is fine in the front. But again, just testing out the 220 in the front for now. Then I also got the 1-up cockpit. I have a 35 mil rise bar. I cut them to 760. I have the 1-up 50 millimeter headset. I got the EDC tool, which is super handy. I recommend that with a lot of people. Saves you. And then I got the Chris King drop set headset, so that's really nice. But yeah, everything's super awesome with this bike. It rides similar to the 150, but it is nice to have that extra travel. You're seeing a lot of these heavy enduro bikes not really have 150 anymore. The new standard's like 160 to like 170. So it's awesome to see that Yeti kind of has moved past that and going back to like a longer travel bike. The 150 was, still good amount of travel, but a Scott Genius, a trail bike, that has 150 in the back. So you're seeing a lot of trail bikes have like 130 to 150 or 120 to 150. So I feel like 170 in the front paired to 160 is perfect, especially if this is going to be like your ultimate Slayer bike you're bringing to the bike park alongside the trails. This bike will perform the best when you're getting it to high speed. So the faster you ride, the more aggressive you ride, that's how this bike's going to react and be the best that's going to be. Kind of like, cross-country bikes and trail bikes. If you can ride it for what it's meant for, it's going to be the best. The slower you go on this bike, it's not going to perform as well. That's also because it's not meant to go slow, it's meant to go fast. Not saying you can't just get it and casually be riding it, but you're going to want to get this with the intention of just smashing all the downhills going up. It's a great climber. You don't have to really slug it up the hill. I noticed that when I'm pedaling. Still a great climber. But yeah, the faster you go down, the better this bike is gonna react. In the rear, I'm also doing, like I said, I'm doing a SRAM axis setup. The axis is super reliable. I do feel like sometimes SRAM isn't as good at shifting as Shimano, but I do feel like it's more durable. I've definitely shredded my fair of Shimano parts in the past. Both have their pros, both have their cons, but for me, I'm just doing an axis. Actually, this is an XX1 axis rear derailleur, X01 cassette. So, you know, kind of breaking away from that GX stuff, you get more longevity. I think the GX cassette's really good if you have the e-bike, because you're constantly replacing parts on an e-bike. Tires, chains, everything wears faster. With this, you kind of want a bit more longevity, so it is nice to be able to spring the extra money to get a X01 or XX1, but X01's kind of the enduro stuff, XX1's the cross-country stuff, it's a bit lighter, so I would recommend X01. My riding impressions so far, this bike is amazing. It definitely feels pretty similar to the 150, but also a little bit, you know, a little bit more aggressive on the downhill with that 160 rear travel. There are some sections where I felt like it was just going through the travel too much on 150 millimeters, where you kind of would have to compromise, like either putting more air in or tokens, stuff like that. So the 160 is a huge advantage in the rear. Again, 64 head angle is really nice if you're going down the downs. I think it's great. So I think it's really going to shine, this bike, on technical sections. What I notice is pushing it through some rock gardens. Again, it's not using as much travel where before the 150, you have the extra 10 millimeters. So it's really a lot better just going through its travel through a little bit rougher sections, or even the G outs, you're doing like some steep rollers. It's going to feel a lot better. You know, the bike, this one weighs around 34, 35 pounds. You could easily build up one that's 32 pounds, but I'm not a weight weenie, so I do want the aluminum wheels on this one for now. Just the way I'm riding and how I want to ride this bike, that's just kind of going to suit me. The EX1700s are actually EX511s. This is just like the OEM version, but if you're wondering, it is an EX511 rim. That's with the EX1700s. These are custom for the bike also if you get the complete build. So they do use J-bend spokes. I do like J-bend a lot better than straight pull spokes. It's a lot easier to work on and a little bit better to adjust. So if you can build wheels, J-bend's definitely a great way to go. And that about wraps it up for today. Again, just a little something of the new 2023 Yeti SB160. I'm gonna get some more clips of me riding on the trail. It's a great bike. I think, you know, if anyone gets this bike, they're gonna be happy either way. If you felt like you liked this video, please subscribe to the channel. That would be great. And yeah, I'll see you next time.